Thank you for viewing my problem of practice presentation. My name is Kori Riordan, and I am a doctoral candidate at Baylor University School of Education in the online learning and organizational change. I've been supported by the amazing Dr. Leanne Howell as my faculty advisor during my doctoral journey. As an educator and an independent school administrator, I have witnessed the opportunity gap and the unequal experiences of adolescents, which led me to this program. The title of my problem of practice is Storm, Stress, or Pathway to Success, a qualitative single case study exploring how teachers design developmental experiences of middle school students to maximize academic performance and successful life outcomes. I'll share the details of my study by presenting the problem, the purpose of my study, the two research questions that guided this study, the foundation for young adult success, which was the theoretical framework for my study. I'll review the existing literature on my topic, the methodology I used, and I'll give a brief overview of the findings and discuss the implications and my distribution plan for my findings. There have been numerous education policies, such as No Child Left Behind and Every Student Succeeds Act, that have intended to address educational inequalities. However, the opportunity gap still exists, with students of color and those from marginalized backgrounds disproportionately affected. These disparities can lead to decreased motivation and frustration and academic challenges, and that can lead to long-term negative outcomes. Too many middle school students lack the developmental experiences and the supportive peer and adult relationships and social emotional skills that they need for long-term success. The purpose of my qualitative single case study was to explore how middle school teacher participants at one independent school in San Francisco, California, design learning experiences that are focused on the developmental experiences and relationships to guide students in developing the 4 factors that they need for success. Those are self-regulation, knowledge and skills, mindsets, and values. And those build 3 essential outcomes of integrated identity, agency, and competencies. I chose 2 research questions for my study. The first was, how do teachers use developmental experiences to foster the components of success? And those include self-regulation, knowledge and skills, mindsets, and values for their middle school students to develop those 3 outcomes of integrated identity, agency, and competencies. The second research question for my study was, how do teachers design opportunities for both action and reflection to support middle school students in their academic and their social-emotional growth? The visual here represents the theoretical framework of Foundations for Young Adult Success. So if you look at the rings, the outer orange ring highlights the outcomes that are seen in successful young adults. And we'll start at the bottom. Competencies are the ability to effectively perform complex tasks and to achieve specific objectives. That can be collaboration, can be critical thinking. We'll move to agency, and that's the ability to make choices and to take an active role in the path of one's life. Integrated identity is knowing who you are across various contexts and with your multiple identities. It can be race, ethnicity, profession, gender, culture, or religion. We're moving to the middle green ring, and these are the factors that develop and support those 3 outcomes. So they are self-regulation, knowledge and skills, mindsets, and values. And these develop over time, and they include both cognitive and non-cognitive factors. The 3 components and the 4 factors are mutually reinforcing, As adolescents, they both learn from and actively shape their worlds. Then they are intentionally developed with developmental experiences and within strong supportive relationships. The inner figure represents the way students integrate their learning and development when they have opportunities both for action and reflection. I divided the literature review into 4 main sections. In the first section, I reviewed the existing literature on adolescent development. There's agreement that adolescence is a period of great transition, and it affects all levels of development and social relationships and interactions. Adolescence is a significant time where they discover who they are and they start to figure out who they want to become. The second section highlights that adolescents are building their agency, competencies, and integrated identity, all those things we see they need for successful young adulthood. They're building those things both as individuals and as a group within their peers. The non-cognitive skills that they need include self-regulation, mindsets, and values. And those are also incorporating, they also need the cognitive skills of knowledge and skills, like in skills how to learn. All of these are both malleable and they're influenced by context and interactions with their peers and their adults. The third section notes that both cognitive and non-cognitive skills are important for adolescent development, and that our recent narrow focus on standardized test scores and acquisition of strictly academic content is not sufficient. The fourth section then explores the experiences where students can engage with and explore real-world problems and make meaning of these experiences and interactions that foster learning and in positive, supportive relationships with peers and their adults, and that these benefit all students. In this qualitative single case study, I explored how teachers at an independent middle school in San Francisco, California, design developmental experiences to support positive development. I selected my participants with criterion-based purposeful sampling, selecting 4 teacher participants who had at least 3 years of teaching experience. I then collected data with open-ended questionnaire, semi-structured individual interviews, and then 2 classroom observations for each teacher participant. I found 2 themes related to the first research question, which was how do teachers use developmental experiences to foster the components of success, including self-regulation, knowledge and skills, mindsets, and values for their middle school students to develop those 3 essential outcomes of integrated identity, agency, and competencies. And the first theme related to that teachers perceive that their connection with students foster the components and outcomes of success when it is intentional and consistent. And they saw that when there is time within the school day to make that priority is when they see the most success. It's supported by existing literature in that positive relationship and acceptance of peers and adults motivate adolescents and promote pro-social behavior and positive identity development. Teachers positively influence adolescents in their academics and their development when students have a safe place where they feel seen, where they connect, and when they experience that sense of belonging. So these relationships with teachers help the students develop those self-regulation, knowledge and skills, mindsets, and values that are needed. The second theme was that the community reinforces values and that identity development. And this is supported by existing literature in that adolescents both learn from and proactively shape their worlds, especially when they have opportunities for service, when they have access to positive role models, and when they have a chance to contribute, when they experience real-world problems. The supportive environments really encourage students to view mistakes as just part of their learning. These mindsets then shape students' choices and their positive behaviors. A values-driven community supports students in their identity development and contribute to their positive development of who they are. The findings indicated one theme related to the second research question, which was how do teachers design opportunities for action and reflection to support middle school students' academic and social-emotional growth. So when teachers combine opportunities for active learning with feedback and opportunities for reflection, students' growth and development is improved. And this was also supported by existing literature. The teacher's ability to design experiences for students to solve real-world problems prepares them for success in the 21st century. When they pair reflection with active learning, it provides opportunities for students to connect with what they know and then integrate those experiences into their self-concept. Feedback and opportunity to reflect are critical for students to understand their learning. The implications are divided into really four main groups: independent school teachers, independent school administrators, policymakers, and community members. For independent school teachers, the intentional and frequent connections with students is important. Designing practices and systems that intentionally foster relationships both with the student adult and with the peers, and linking community values to habits and beliefs support development. For independent school administrators, building structured time in the school schedule for authentic connections and relationship building between adults and peers allows teachers to support student non-cognitive skills. And when they're intentional and frequent, it really does impact student success. For policymakers, content-only measures of student success are insufficient for long-term growth. Students need the opportunities to develop non-academic skills. And for community members, community really does play an important role in fostering the values and the identity development of adolescents. Students gain from the experience that help them connect what they're learning to experiences and the broader community needs. Finally, my distribution plan consists of 5 stages. The first is designed to reach independent school teachers, and I'll do that in professional development presentations and also at professional conferences. For independent school administrators, additionally, professional conferences will reach them, but also publishing within educational publications. The next is for policymakers, really direct communications to policymakers, sharing research that are narrow focus on standardized tests and academic content alone is insufficient. And finally, for community members, doing community sessions to share the information that students develop in a values-driven community, a much stronger sense of integrated identity, and it really does benefit the whole community. Thank you for listening to my presentation.